What up? Hi everybody, Nikki here. I'm going to attempt to go live with my Rise and Remember podcast co-host Diane Vich. We'll see when she pops up. I should be getting a little notification. Diane, I can see at the bottom of my screen on my phone a couple of pictures of little people. My internet this week. I don't know if this will work. It's the little ones and zeros of life. These little choice points that give us an opportunity to either out frustrated or I am in acceptance of whatever it is. There she goes. Hi.
Huh? How are ya?
I'm wonderful. Cold, but being a big girl about it. I don't see your beautiful face.
You know why? That happened to me the other day when I did a live with someone else. You can't see the other person, but you can see yourself. It's very weird.
Weird. Can you see me?
Once the video comes out, we're both there.
But can you see me?
We did it on. No, I can't see you now.
You can't see me either?
No, it's a black
So
spot.
this is so weird. Soy bae. Alright, that's alright. I know what you look like. I remember. How you doing, Diane? I can't read your face, so I can't there's that piece is missing from our connection here, but
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like it very much when we can't see each other, but
I don't like
I'm
it
good.
either. I don't like
I'm good.
that.
I'm a little cold. Wearing a hat.
I know we're gonna probably get beat up by people for saying this living in Miami, but y'all, it's cold here. I'm wearing a sweatshirt. I know.
We're not used to
allowed
this kind of way.
Well, I mean, I grew up in Maryland, so I've done it, but I made a decision. I went through the effort of moving so that I could avoid these painful cold temperatures, and it keeps finding me.
It's a short time.
It
It'll be
is.
gone
I
soon.
know. And I love change, so I appreciate every once in a while getting to dust off my jeans and my jacket. I'm going camping next weekend. I'm crazy excited. And we're going north, and it's going to be like painful cold. But we'll be able to cuddle up with buffalo and wild horses. So
Oh, that sounds cool.
I know. I'm very excited. Diane, so we're here on our Rise and Remember podcast. You're just catching Diane and I checking in. So we'll do more of this check-in later so we can dive right into some juicy content because there's so much to talk about right now, Diane.
Yeah, there is. And the funny thing is, we tried to record last week, right? And the video just, I don't know, it went into cyberspace and never really.
We had a whole conversation for about 30 minutes.
Yep.
And only me, Diane, and the flies on the walls know anything about it.
Exactly. That's what happens with technology.
It was a really good, I feel like it was a good little nugget of conversation, but we have a lot of content we can discuss right now. So do you have anything live in you that you want to share, that you want to riff on? And then we can kind of go from there.
I have my talk on Saturday, which is about confidence and finding the inner confidence within you. And I think we all have it, right? We all have it. There's just things happen in life, challenges happen in life, and they make us feel like we don't, right? And it's recognizing when we've gotten through these difficult times in our lives that took confidence. And it's honoring that. And the more we honor that and recognize that, it helps build our inner confidence because we have it in there. We've gotten through big challenges, but we tend to lose sight of it when life gets a bit overwhelming. So I just wanted to bring that in.
I love that you're sharing that. And this conversation is so timely on the global stage, especially because we are in such powerful times of change. This is already recognized in the stars. Astrology has been documenting the various cycles and evolutions of human consciousness, and we are in the same energetic alignment as during the French and American Revolution. So energetically, it doesn't have to look the same, it doesn't have to be the bloodshed, but it's inviting an end of dysfunction in some way. And that's not just on the global stage, it's for ourselves too. But if we don't feel confident with ourselves, if we don't feel confident in the system, if we don't just recall the feelings of confidence, it activates survival fear, which immediately shuts the brain down. And we can't think clearly. We're not rational. We're not logical. We're oftentimes not generous or understanding. When you're in, Maslow's hierarchy of needs shows this. If your basic survival is under threat, or you think it is, that's off, right? You're just gonna be as primal and reactive as your, survival brain thinks you need to be. So yeah, getting back to confidence in whatever tools we do. I like to offer my students and clients the tool of just remember a time when you were confident or courageous. You don't have to feel it right now, but just take a moment with your eyes closed and just remember what it was like back then. And just kind of calibrate to that feeling of back then, because your brain doesn't know the difference between what's happening now and what you're perceiving. So if you go back to some memory and let yourself just be marinating in that, you can reactivate your nervous system. Will be like, oh yeah, confidence. Oh yeah, courage. And then that energy sends a whole cascade of chemistry changes in your body, and then you access ideas. So I don't know if you want to, spoiler alert, share some of your tips with our audience, but is there anything that you would like to share?
Well, I kind of do the same kind of practice that you did. And I feel like something that I need to say is we all kind of live in a roller coaster, right? We all get some days where we're overwhelmed, where we snap at people, where things have been too much and you get too much on your plate and it just feels like too much. But then we have the opportunity to recalibrate. And to recalibrate is to do exactly what you just said. It's taking some quiet time to visualize yourself in an episode of time where you were confident, and then taking it into your five senses. It means feeling what it felt like in your veins, feeling the sensations in your heart center, knowing how that experience made you feel on all levels, right? How were you breathing? What did you look like you were standing? What were you wearing? What were the people around you saying? Because sometimes we don't even take that in. And then sitting in that as long as you can to bring yourself back to that vibration and recognize that is you. But sometimes as a human, we drop down a little bit because life became a little bit too much.
I love that you guide people to go back to the five senses. That helps it anchor more and embody more. It gives it more tactile, embodied. It becomes more embodied. I'm curious, as a nurse,
Yeah.
and you've been in this healthcare field for 20 years now. I'm curious
what
you've noticed in terms of a person's overall quality of health, like digestion and blood pressure and fatigue. Like, if you have access to studies or different trends, data, clinical trials that show the difference of a person's health when they have more access to that feeling of courage and confidence versus someone who is just leaning more towards self-doubt all the time. Like, I'm sure there's a lot of studies like that. But what have you noticed in your field work, with patients?
Well, there's definitely a lot of evidence that there's a lot of burnout with doctors. There's a lot of burnout in nurses, right? Because the career is really demanding. But there's also research out there that people that take time to meditate, that work on their mindset, that these things actually impact the cells in the body and actually impact their health. But it's something that it's not like you just do it one day and then you don't do it again. It's actually creating that lifestyle, making it a part of your daily practice. And there's so many things that make us a whole human, right? We have to eat healthy. We have to nurture our spirit. We have to nurture our our bodies. We have to hydrate our bodies. We have to be in nature. There's like so many different things that's research out there that can help calibrate you. It's just attuning with yourself and recognizing what are the things that you need. And there's plenty of opportunities in our lives to slow down and to find those things that help tune us in. And one of the big things is grounding, going outside. Meditating is huge, but a lot of people don't do it. But next time I will bring some exact details. I can't think of any specific statistics at this very second, but I know I have looked it up, and I've researched a lot about these different lifestyle changes and how they impact the body and they help transform things in a big way.
Maybe if you're able, I know you got a million things happening, but if you come across any, if you want to just copy and paste some links in the comments of this conversation, if you're able to, that would be amazing. I would love to share that in my communities too. One of the things, to your point, Diane, that we don't often meditate, I know I didn't either. I learned about it in college. I knew I needed to do it, but every time I tried, I'd fall asleep. And it was so annoying. I got the book Meditation for Dummies, and it didn't work. I kept falling asleep. And I'm like, that's that. So what I now know, so here's the thing, you guys, it was hard for me. And then later in life, I went through yoga teacher training, which becomes like, that's yoga, the asanas, the poses and the postures, and the whole thing is like a moving meditation. Meditation isn't just sitting down with your eyes closed, trying to have your brain go quiet, because that ain't going to happen. The brain's not going to go quiet. It's not supposed to. So let that illusion go. But so there's many different ways to meditate, but one of my favorite ways that I share with everyone, it's so much easier, is breath, your conscious, deliberate breathing. You can just inhale slowly, filling up your low belly, your ribs, and your chest. You want your entire front body to bellow out like a pillow. So you're slowly breathing in through your nose, your low belly, your ribs, and your chest. You pause at the top, and then you exhale in reverse. Empty your chest, your ribs, and then your low belly. So it's this like cycle of breathing where you're pausing at the top and at the bottom, and just doing 3 rounds of that can be called a meditation. And that sends you into your sympathetic nervous system. It tells your body, okay, there's no saber-toothed tiger. I can relax some of this cortisol and this adrenaline. I can digest some food, right? So just, it doesn't have to be this 10 minutes a day thing. And you'll notice the more you insert these little pauses in your day-to-day life, you've got this overall flow. Life starts to be more cooperative. There's more blessings that pop up on your way. Your in-laws are less irritating. Your kids are more in flow, right? You get more green lights. Life starts to communicate with you. Based on the quality of your inner space. And we're seeing on the global stage, you guys, there's such a major detox happening. If each of us had something like this that we brought into the world and brought into ourselves every day, we would have access to ideas that don't just perpetuate this chasing our tail, fighting us versus them narrative, which is so old. Like, can we just be done with that? But it elevates our consciousness. We're looking above the fray. We're like, oh, I see the pattern. Okay, well, let's do this here. Maybe we can try that there. Let's invite the. We have ideas. We have ideas that are inspired.
Yeah, and these inspired ideas come in those moments where we do the breathing, where we do the meditation. And early on when I started meditating too, I mean, I had the same kind of issue. I was kind of hyperactive, never been diagnosed, but I was like, I can't just sit still. And I had to start meditating walking. So I would walk at the hospital around the lake and I would listen to some peaceful music or a meditation. And that was how I began stepping into meditating. And little by little, it starts evolving and you get better at it. And then you can sit still and now you can just focus on your breathing and notice the sensations in your heart and not fall asleep when you're trying to meditate.
Yeah.
But it's all about practice and it's all about repetition. And I like how you talked about the breathing, because that was actually back when my doctor told me either you leave your career, you're going to die. I had to incorporate practices that would work for me so that I could stay where I loved, where I had worked so hard to get. And breathing was a huge thing. And I tried breathing practices and then I ended up coming up with my own and I called it the 5-5-5 breath. And that's what worked for me. And it was basically inhaling for a count of 5, holding my breath for a count of 5, and exhaling for a count of 5. And once I felt my nervous system reset, I could have done it maybe 10 times. Some days, maybe I did it 15 times. But just focusing on my breathing like that really helped shift things for me, where I could jump back into that busy career, jump back into the crazy ER pace, and feel calm in my body. And that was huge. And it all started with breathing. So breathing is a really powerful tool. It doesn't have to be that you follow what someone else tells you. You just listen to your intuition and your body, and maybe you change it up. As the time passed, I ended up changing it to an 11-11 breath, and that's what I do now. But, I had to evolve into that. In the beginning, I really couldn't make it that long. The holding the breath was a little hard. And you just got to listen to your body and tune in and recognize what is it that helps you shift your nervous system and helps you get back in to your routine feeling more calm.
Yes, I love that. And I love that as an ER nurse, you were bringing that into your own life, which didn't just help you co-regulate with the other medical teams in the space, but your patients could feel that. Like if emergency workers come in all frazzled, like we're screwed, we need as, those of us that are first responders or that are, kind of pillars in our community, it's kind of a little bit of a requirement. I don't want to call it a burden, but it's kind of a burden to find a way to be a still calm lake in the face of chaos. I call it being the eye of the storm. Things can be in complete upheaval all around you, but you, through a period of choice point, saying, nope, I'm not going to get sucked in. It is seductive. Drama is seductive by nature, because in our early development as humans, if we didn't respond to chaos, it meant death. But we're a different species now. These are different times. We don't have to. And in fact, if we keep trying to pounce on every little speck of chaos, then we're just never effective. You're constantly in that fight or flight state, which again pinches you off from those great ideas. One of the things that I'm really focusing on right now, and I love that you brought up nervous system health, is one of the things I've noticed isn't really well discussed in nervous system regulation circuits is how we talk to ourselves, right? I call it having good street cred with yourself. What's your reputation with yourself? So if we are out trying to do great things for other people, in our heads, we're constantly judging ourselves, condemning ourselves, overriding our own boundaries, people pleasing, which it looks like I'm really tired, but this person really needs my help, so I'll ignore my needs and go help them, when you have a habit of doing that all the time. So your system doesn't feel safe in you. You're not a safe place for yourself, right? So if back to our original point of confidence, forget it. Confidence is out the window because you've proven time and time again that you don't matter to you. So if you have that sense of, I don't matter to me, I can't depend on me to take care of me, confidence is a far off idea, right? So you want to work toward repairing your relationship with yourself, and just by virtue of doing that, not shaming and guilting yourself, saying, you know what, I've made some mistakes, I did the best I could with what I had available at the time, make amendments where you can, atone where you can, but be like, you know what, humans are messy, I accept that, and I'm going to do my best to be a loving place for myself. And you'll notice when you start doing that, you make fewer errors. You're naturally more aligned with good ideas and not harming others, right? So it's a good idea for all of us to start to be loving to ourselves first, because from there our cup overflows and we are a beneficial service to everybody, everything. Confidence is natural. It's our default state, right?
Yeah, it's there, it's in there hiding. But we have this inner critic. I call mine Negative Nancy, and it's taken years to take over that Negative Nancy voice and switch her into positivity. But with practice and recognizing, the patterns and moving into whatever goals you have set and praising yourself along the way helps shift that belief and shift that inner voice as you move forward. I mean, if I would have listened to Negative Nancy 20 years ago, I would have left the career and I wouldn't be getting my nurse practitioner right now. So it's step by step, but it's definitely is shifting that inner critic and building your own self-esteem throughout the process.
Yes. Yes, and you said something that I was, ooh, yeah, let's go there. Oh, yeah, celebrating your wins. I want to riff on this for a moment. Um, it's such a huge, beautiful thing when you overcome something, even if it's small. There's a great book called The Mutant Message Down Under by Marlo Morgan. It was one of my very first consciousness raising books. I highly recommend it. It's like this big. It's not very big, and it's such a good read. It's so great at putting our perspective out of consumerism into like the big world connected oneness thing. But one of the things I loved, it's about an Aboriginal tribe in Australia in this um, United States woman. She's a former pharmaceutical, or she's in the medical world. Anyway, she goes on a walkabout with these Aboriginals in Australia. And this tribe was talking about, it's so weird how people in the developed world celebrate a birthday that happens naturally every year. You don't do anything to earn it. It's just what happens when you rotate around the sun, right? So what they celebrate is when they've overcome something. Maybe they learned a new skill. Maybe they stopped complaining. Maybe they started, being more helpful. Like whatever personal growth thing you're working on, you tell people when you're ready. Nobody knows but you. Like, oh, wow, I finally, stopped blaming so-and-so for something. And I feel really, so then everybody comes and they celebrate with you. But I love what you said, like, take a moment to really reflect, where have I grown? How have I've overcome something, maybe, a personal struggle, and then tell people, invite people to celebrate with you. Oh, it's such a good idea, and it invites everyone to start reflecting on their own positives, and then we start to move out of that necessary negative mindset, that negative Nelly, right? Negative Nancy. She served a purpose. She was a very valuable survival friend throughout human evolution, but we don't need her on the front lines anymore. She's trying to protect us. All of us have that voice, that critic. They don't need to be pushing us anymore. Say, thank you, negative part. Now we're going to start being motivated by celebration and growth and positive. We can do that. It's neuroplasticity. We got to rewire our brain to not get seduced in that old Neanderthal survival negative stuff. Be like, I'm going to pause. I'm going to celebrate where I've grown. I'm going to tell people. And don't worry about seeming like you're being an egomaniac. It's not egotistical to celebrate your own personal growth. It's beautiful. And then again, it inspires other people to do the same. So share something, if you don't mind, Diane. Hey, I know you're on the spot, but share something that you have recently overcome that you feel really good about, or something that you want to celebrate about yourself.
Well, I'm definitely celebrating that I'm in nurse practitioner school. Back when I first went to get my master's, I never thought that was even a possibility. Like, I didn't allow myself to even look at the program for becoming a nurse practitioner. And that was like 14 years ago. And over the past couple years, things were calling me just to jump into that I really wanted to work as a nurse practitioner. And here I am, and I finish in December and I'll be done. And it was so much faster than I thought.
Wow. And we celebrate that with you, sister. You guys join me in some celebration. Facing, she had very, very justifiable reasons to walk away from it, but she found the golden nuggets inside. She's like, nope, I'm going. I feel called. I'm going. As uncomfortable as it can be. Well, congratulations to that. And thank you for that. What am I celebrating? So many things. Holy sucks. Last year was one of the hardest years of my life. For sure. And because of all of my development and all of my clearing and healing and commitment, I feel top of the mountain perspective over most of it. Not completely out of the woods yet, but I'm feeling empowered versus beat up by it. I'm feeling more wise, more compassionate. My health is improving. And I am 50 years old, and there are perimenopause, menopause circles of women, and I'm hearing nightmarish stories. And I've had some really symptoms as well. And I want to say to my sisters out there, the more I tend to all the things that surfaced last year, it was a 9-year, I'm not surprised. But all the things that surfaced, all the things I had to face, and all the more I flip my relationship with those sketchy moments and feel empowered and grateful and let it go, my health is improving. Symptoms are going away. I'm doing it all natural, not doing any hormone replacement therapy and stuff. I'm not shaming any of that, but I'm just saying my journey is I want to understand this. I know my body can be in peak performance. It's up here, a lot of it. I'm not quite there yet, but I'm working there. Joe Dispenza is a great resource if you're looking into that too. His story is incredible. Many incredible stories, but yeah, just as a little side note. Your health improves when you forgive and you heal and you clear a bunch of baggage.
Yeah, I think last year was hard for both of us. I know sending my son off to college was not easy. In the middle of my mom dealing with her illness and not knowing what exactly the diagnosis was not easy. And being, mom, dealing with the stuff that was already here and going back into school was a lot. But I'm very proud of where I've got so far, and that we finally have a diagnosis for my mom, and things are kind of lining up where we can flow forward and not be so stressed out about it.
Yes. And I do feel that going through those life challenges, right? My dad died a couple years ago, and all the chaos and turmoil and the aftermath of that, like we're all going to have our share of stuff. But choosing to go through those things in a conscious way, it's very seductive to get seduced and to get pulled into the victimhood and this shouldn't be happening. And there's a lot of things that there's a lot of injustice, and I'm not denying that. See it for what it is. This is unjust. But then we don't want to hang out in that narrative because that keeps us powerless, you guys. Saying, okay, all right, things are imbalanced and it's not cool. What's happening is not okay. As soon as we come into that energy of acceptance, not rolling out the red carpet, asking it to continue, but saying, okay, this is what it is right now. As soon as we do that and we mean it, our vibration rises. And again, those good ideas are more available. All of a sudden, we're linking up with other people who are also able to accept, and then they have good ideas. And then we come together in a powerful community where all of a sudden we're activating and sparking things inside of each other. We're like, oh, we could try this. I know this person, they can do that. That's where I feel we're being lovingly guided to, back into village and community, where we're more powerful. So all of us are going to have sketchy things happen, but it's how we choose to perceive it that determines whether we graduate and move on to the next level or we stay in the bottom of the barrel, just getting beat up by stuff.
And it may not be fun when you're in it, because I can tell you that month where I actually failed a test last semester, my mom was getting all her tests done by the neurologist. I was having constant migraines. I had 17. And you don't even put these things together in your mind when they're all happening. But once I went to my doctor, he's like, girl, that's a lot. Like, you need to go check that out. And getting everything aligned was a process. But then once everything was done, we had the diagnosis. Now I understood why my body was reacting so much. And how was I going to prevent this from happening in the future? Now that we have a diagnosis, now that I know what's going on and I can balance all of this caregiver stuff with everything else that's happening, recognizing that it was a big year, that there was a lot of challenges, but now this is an opportunity for the whole family to grow from this experience, right? And that we can all pitch in. So it's a process, but it's not ever fun when you're in it, but when you recognize how far you come after, that's when you start growing more confidence. That's when things start to get easier.
Yes. The leap from never having confidence to having confidence can seem impossible. But it's these little micro choices that we make that slowly start to build it. And next thing you know, you have a whole list of things, of evidence for yourself to remind you, I am confident. I can remember my power. I can claim it and step into it, and things improve when I do, for myself and for others. Like just giving yourself, I like to write lists, little post-it notes, where I'm just constantly reminding myself what's true, and what my capacity is, what my talents and skills are. It's really good for us to keep that as the focus of our attention. Because, the world benefits from us feeling less than. You know, systems and industries benefit from us feeling incomplete or broken. Because then we will purchase those products. We'll lean into the news to get another dopamine hit with what's the latest drama. You know, we shop. We buy a bunch of things we don't need. And I'm not saying people in general or anyone, you know, is living that way, but it's kind of a collective trend. It's kind of where we're shifting out of. So yeah, it doesn't have to be comfortable, but remembering. I love the quote that says, from God, Creator, Source, Spirit, said, "I didn't say it would be easy. I said it would be worth it." And it's really good to remember that, because who you become in the face of the storm, you're being polished, you're being refined, you're fluffing off the collective and socially sanctioned puppet strings that keep you in a disempowered codependent state. And it's rough, but then on the other side, there's a freedom and a joy that is exquisite.
One of my favorite quotes is by Wayne Dyer, and it says, change the way you look at things and the things you look at change. And I use that to reframe things throughout my life. Whenever there's been a difficult time, like that time with my mom or any other challenge that's happened, once some time has passed, allow yourself to see it in a new light and recognize the blessings that came from that situation. What were the things that you learned from that situation? And then slowly start to evolve your life to make things easier in the future, because now you've learned something from there. You change the way you look at things, and now the future things that you see are going to be so different because you're seeing them from a totally new perspective.
It's perfect. I think it's a great place to end. And I like the quote that I keep hearing from my inner guidance, which is, a revolution is a perspective shift. When we can perceive what's happening through a new lens, our interpretation changes, therefore our thoughts, words, and deeds change. And that is where everything starts to change. It's not because conditions are meeting a certain criteria. It's because we are different in the conditions, and we can build something different. So let's do a shameless plug for our stuff, Mama. You want to go first?
I'm presenting on Saturday in Wellness Summit. I invite you guys there. You can check it out on my page. I'll make sure to post the information, but I'll be talking about confidence, that confidence blueprint. And we're going to have Reiki healing at the end and a bunch of vendors. So we hope you check it out. It's with Mariposa Holistic. You can check her out on Instagram. She's the one leading it. And I hope you guys have a great weekend, and remember to reset.
Yes, it's at the Peacemaker in Dadeland, Miami, for those on YouTube who may not be able to see flyers and stuff. But yeah, so that's awesome. And Nikki here in Miami, have bi-monthly retreats I'm hosting. It's the Path of Becoming series every other month on energetically potent times days. I'm hosting 4-hour mini retreats for us to drop in together in community, for us to activate, cleanse, clear, journal, meditate, get really aware, become really aware of you, your own patterns for your own expansion. We're in the year of the fire horse starting on the 17th. My first one is coming up February 22nd, 222, Powerful Energy for Faith. So details for that you can find on frequencyfirst.love. My website, you can email me, Nikki at frequencyfirst.love. It would be a treat to share those with you. Limited space here, and going to be in Homestead this round. So yeah. So thank you guys for tuning in to Rise and Remember. We're here to support you as you unplug from the matrix and tune into your inner wisdom, where all your answers are.
We'll see you again soon.
See you soon. Bye.